Thank you, and good afternoon. My name is Ali, and this is one of my colleagues, Rebecca. We also work for the MJD Foundation in Darwin, Australia. Today we'll be sharing with you a little bit about some work that we've been doing on establishing a communication group and some of the research work that's come out of that group. Julie, who is one of our colleagues in Darwin, an Aboriginal community worker with the Foundation and also a co-researcher on this project, was unfortunately unable to join us today, but she has made a video introducing herself and this work, so we might start watching that. If it works.
Aku Julie Gumorbe, Narangal Kopu, Arapuka, Damangaraka, MJD Foundation book. Kalau dimulai dari lecture, aku kan nak work dengan malah yang malah. Kalau mengarang dengan ya communication, lapor dia apa waktu, karena mau ni lapor work mereka. Gumur dalam berperam, lalu nak pulang tu niwang lah, beli muning apa macam ni, unan darah pun ni tawang lah, dia beli ya. Ajak tengah kalau putu berperam, lalu nak dia walau yang kamu kat nawang lah, lalu bergurau tu ni waktu memang pun ni lah.
So we're really excited to be here presenting this story with you today because it's been quite a journey for us to get to this point. Our journey started over 5 years ago with the establishment of a communication group in Darwin, Australia. The group was primarily aimed at providing an opportunity for people that were using augmentative and alternative communication tools, or AAC tools, to build skills and confidence in using these tools. The original aim was to provide people who are currently using AAC tools that support, but as we continued to work, we realised that this work needed to extend to people who are not current AAC tool users, but could use that lead time where their voices were still strong to develop the skills and the confidence that they needed to use AAC tools in the future. So the group grew. We were helping people be exposed to a whole range of tools, both low-tech and high-tech in this group. But all the tools that we had available to us were in English. We had no tools in the first languages of the families that our clients were a part of. And we were finding that these English-based tools were not meeting the communication needs of the families that we were working with, and that simply translating the existing English tools was both impossible and inappropriate. So this is one of the things that led to the establishment of this research project.
So I've been working with Julie and with 4 other Yolnu researchers in a highly collaborative and culturally responsive research approach, following principles of doing research with Yolnu, which have been established from a Yolnu research organisation based at Gulliwinkle in Arnhem Land, and also following Indigenous research methodology. So this has predominantly been qualitative research. We've used constructivist grounded theory in our first phase to build shared understanding, and then some cycles of participatory action research to build resources. So we've been working with 15 participants, 10 Yolnu living with MJD and 5 of their family members. And we've been using semi-structured small group conversations and analysis as well. So in the first phase, our research questions were really to better understand the communication needs of Yolnu living with MJD, their participation patterns, what's important to them about communication, and their own ideas about how to support communication when speech becomes difficult to understand. And we learned that Yolnu living with MJD are very interested to work with speech pathologists to learn more about and use AAC. But there are some really important ways that we need to work together if we're going to do this work for these services and aids to be accessible. So we developed a Yolnu metaphor gongdu by hand, and you can read a bit more about the metaphor if you're interested, or come and chat to us later. But some of the important principles that we learned were that Yolnu families really want to work together and learn together, not in individual sessions, but together as a group. And that they want to work in Yolnu languages first and on the strengths of Yolnu culture, because not only do people communicate, understand and communicate more effectively in their first languages, but also language is really a really important part of identity and who they are and the land that they belong to. Our families would like to work outside when possible at the beach. That makes them feel strong. And also they emphasise the importance of having ongoing opportunities for people to engage with, but to wait for their ngang or their inner spirit to be ready before they participate in their own time. So once we'd learned quite a lot about how to work together, we started to think about developing some resources in Yolnu languages to support communication. So the first thing we needed to do was work out the words that were going to go into the tools. So we analysed 300 utterances from a Yolnu family conversation, and we analysed this for high-frequency words, and discussed which words should be included and excluded, and if there were any words that were missing. And we developed some tools that include about 250 Yolnu words and morphemes. And there are some interesting things that we found that differ from English core vocabulary studies. So I'll just share a couple of them with you today. Firstly, when we were talking about the term core vocabulary, the Yolnu interpretation of core vocabulary is ngarakadal daruk, which literally means strong bone words. So right from the beginning, we knew that actually we weren't just interested in the high frequency words, we also needed to think about the words that are foundational or core to Yolnu culture and who people are. We also noticed that there was quite a lot of code switching in the transcript, and that's because there are actually 6 distinct Yolnu languages and more than 50 dialects. This is a really culturally, linguistically diverse region of the world, and so people use different languages depending on who they're talking to and depending on the cultural context. So this is a really complex and important consideration when we're developing communication aids. Another thing that was really interesting is there was a lot of slang used in the conversation, but when we talked to participants, they were really clear that they wanted to use grammatically correct words because they could see the potential of these tools to help other people learn literacy and to keep Yolnu languages strong. So that was really important. So once we developed the vocabulary, we then looked at the organisation or structure of the AAC aids. We've developed four different prototypes, and they vary in their use of symbols and level of literacy required to use the tool. But a couple of things that have also been quite interesting in responding to the Yolnu languages and culture is that the kinship categories and words related to identity and clan are presented first, because for Yolnu, the first thing you need to do whenever you talk to anyone is work out how you're related to them. Kinship and relationships is really fundamental. And then all other words in the aids are presented in a relatively flat structure. A lot of English aids are categorised in various ways, but for Yolnu, Yolnu have a holistic worldview where everything is related and interconnected. And so if you heard somebody talking about crocodile, you might think, oh, they're telling a story about an animal. But for Yolnu, when they hear the word baru, which is the word for crocodile, they may in fact be telling a story about a person who's passed on, or a clan, or various stories or songlines. And so keeping a relatively flat structure has meant that we have minimised the associations that are attached to words in the organisation of the system.
So now that we have these aids in first language, it's really important looking forward that we continue to provide opportunities for people to use and develop skills and confidence in using them, and through that use further develop and refine the tools. I feel like this is a really exciting time for communication, clinical work, but also research. With the rate that technology is progressing in the research that's being done, there's really no reason why people should not be able to effectively communicate throughout their entire journey with MJD, even at the very severe stages of having MJD. While it is really exciting that we've got these tools as an outcome of the research project, equally as exciting and interesting has been some of the learnings that we've made about working in a culturally responsive way with Yolnu in Australia to make sure that the services that we are offering are accessible. So we might finish off by just sharing one more brief video from Julie around some of those learnings that we've made.
Inutuwa kay manapamiri, kawa kay mujama, kawa kanya ina ko nilimurong nilimurong kadar pati, makan tumuni mamat kamgao, mga namiri, kadao ko para kire, makan mamat namiri yang muka ini.
Some references. And just a big thanks to our team, supervisors, advisors, and participants and researchers. And feel free to get in touch with us.